Okay, everyone, I'm back. Hope you got some popcorn, some candy, and some soda. Or coffee if you're Wendy with an I from Happiness and Sweet Tea. Let's continue on with part 2 of my Little Mermaid reading. But before I start, I'm sorry to say, everyone, but just today we lost another great legend. Her name was Doris Day. She truly was a gifted singer and actress from the 50s and 60s. She was only 97 years old. A moment of silence, if you will. Doris Day, you may be gone, but your legacy lives on in our hearts. Anyway, let's continue on with the story. Where was I? Oh, yes. Princess Ingrid and her assistant Coco found them on the beach. And Princess Ingrid is modeled and voiced by Martha Stewart. Oh, dear. Are you alright? Can you hear me? Ugh, what the heck is happening? Oh, thank goodness he is alive. Audrey, you should have just stayed with him until he woke up. Oh, I couldn't do that, Hans. As soon as he sees my pink tail, he'd get frightened. A special search and rescue operation is about to begin. Find Princess Audrey and take her back to the palace. And the dolphins, Hans and Roger, take him to the Dallas Police Department. He helped her get away. Yes, sir. Audrey, your disappearance last night was crazy. When the ship went down, we were frightened half to death. I'm sorry, guys, but I had to save the prince. You know, Hideo. Can you keep this a secret? Sure thing. There they are. Hey, what do you think you're doing? I'm sorry, amigos. This is all my fault. You ought to return to the crab right away, Princess. Do you have any idea how much more you cost us last night? As you know, our race normally exists for 300 years, and we could have been left with an accident and died at any time, just as your poor mother Ocean Mist did. Forgive me, Father. I forbid you to go swimming alone, and you are not to play with those dolphins again. Now, dear son, don't be so hard on her. She just was able to save the prince and his assistant from drowning. So a special ceremony should be a possibility. Oh, grandmother. Well, if you insist, Mother. The next morning, that special concert was about to begin. And Audrey actually sang a rendition of Scorpion's Rock You Like a Hurricane. And then later, she performed Nessun Dorma, sung by Andrea Bocelli, and La Mattinata, sung by Luciano Pavarotti, because she had such a beautiful operatic voice. And then, out of nowhere, an evil sea witch named Cassandra was watching over her on her security cameras. And need I remind you that the sea witch is portrayed by Joe Pesci? You know, like, funny how? Like, help me, funny. Okay, like funny how I'm a clown or something. I make you laugh. I'm here to amuse you. So tell me what's funny. We know that you're in there and you're all alone. And then in the above world, in the same city as the underwater equivalent, Hideo recovered really, really fast, thanks to the sensu bean that he got from Princess Ingrid and her assistant Coco. And Hideo was basically performing some sweet skateboarding tricks like Tony Hawk, because he knew how to shred through those metal bars like it was nothing. While his assistant Takeshi was watching The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt on Netflix. Well, in French with German subtitles. As I was saying, Hideo was really shredding up some moves like Tony Hawk did in the Tony Hawk video games for PS1 and PS2, while his assistant Takeshi was watching The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. And oh boy, that was some radical skateboarding tricks I've done. Tony Hawk would be proud. Hey, Takeshi, you got a minute? I was thinking we should head out for some Chinese. I'll order you the sweet and sour chicken, and I order myself the General Tso's. Then after that, I will find out who rescued me from the beach. 'Cause I've got to figure out who that girl is. So Hideo and Takeshi went out for some Chinese food, which was actually at an all-you-can-eat Chinese buffet, where they were gorging themselves on a lot of different dishes, from Hunan, Szechuan, and and Cantonese. Meanwhile, under the sea, Audrey was basically listening to some Kanye West on her iPad Pro, and a lot of classic tunes like Peter Ilyich Tchaikovsky on her iPhone Touch. And then Hans and Roger basically informed her about a statue that sank to the bottom of the ocean. Audrey, I've got some exciting news. There's a huge statue that sank into the bottom of the ocean. You should definitely check it out.
Yeah, it definitely will be worth the price of admission.
I guess you're right. After all, I am a curious girl. So, Audrey was basically awestruck by that statue, which seemed to resemble Hideo. You know, Prince of the land. Well, on Texas soil. She was, and you knew right there that Princess Audrey fell immediately in love with Prince Hideo, knowing that she saved not only Hideo, but also his assistant Takeshi. And one of Audrey's older sisters, well, the Jennifer Aniston one, told her that the only creature that can turn mer people into humans, or humanos, is Cassandra the Sea Witch, who, need I remind you, is portrayed by Joe Pesci from Martin Scorsese's Casino and Goodfellas. So, Princess Audrey basically went to Cassandra's MTV-style crib and basically asked for help. Cassandra, are you home? Why wouldn't I be? Come in, child. Come on in, child. Make yourself at home. And Audrey was basically telling Cassandra about her ordeal, about wanting to become human so she can be with Hideo. And Cassandra basically grants her her wish, but on the condition that Cassandra would steal Audrey's voice away from her. Oh, and one more thing. If the prince falls in love with someone else, within a week, you'll turn into sea foam. I understand. Once you are in human form, you'll never see your father, grandmother, sisters, and brothers again. Isn't that right, my loyal shark pet? Why, certainly. Whoop, 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 whoop. No, no, no. So, Audrey did exactly what Cassandra told her to do. And she had to drink one entire can of wild cherry Pepsi in order for the spell to work. And I mean one entire can of wild cherry Pepsi in order for the spell to work. And she did eventually make it on dry land in the western part of Dallas, Texas. Okay, that should be the end of part 2 of my Little Mermaid reading. Stay tuned for part 3 as I continue the story. And I'll be right back after these messages, so stay tuned. And don't touch that dial.